you've heard the jingle, but what is the LJ Way?
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
In 1933, the country was struggling through the Depression, had repealed Prohibition, and elected Franklin Delano Roosevelt as president.
On May 23rd of that same year, 26-year-old Leroy E. Johnson opened up Eastside Motors in downtown Kirkland. With the help of two friends, they sold 6 vehicles that first year.
So not just automotive industry-wise, but just in general, this is the absolute best company I've ever worked for. I don't just think it's my store alone, but like the people that I work with at my store just exude, I think, what the Lee Johnson culture is, and it aligns with what I've had since I've ever worked. It's just taking care of people and they take care of you. You know, I think that's the best way to do business, and that's happens to be the way that Lee Johnson does it, and I'm lucky and appreciative to be a part of that.
In 1937, Leroy, along with 40 other Kirkland business leaders, founded the Kirkland Rotary Club. Kirkland was growing due to having the only East Side ferry service to Seattle.
The people, period, end of story. It's like I know and trust the people that you're working with, and trust is probably one of the biggest things in the car business. You need to trust the people that you're working with, both if as an employee and as a customer, and that's why I'm here. I know, the people, the ownership, management, exec team, and great people.
In 1940, the first floating bridge across Lake Washington was completed, and the quiet farming town of Bellevue was beginning to grow, drawing business and people away from the then much larger Kirkland area.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
The day after Roosevelt gave that speech, Leroy E. decided to join the military, leaving behind his wife, his 23-month-old son, and his young business.
From the ownership group down is regular people, okay? You don't get the feeling of somebody's better than somebody else, okay? That's a big thing for employee from higher end all the way down to the bottom, is you want to just feel like nobody's better than anybody else in the dealership, whether you're an owner or high-level technician or an oil change guy or you're washing cars, we all get treated the same.
By 1945, World War II was over. Leroy had returned safely from the war, the economy was rebounding, and Eastside Motors expanded the current store to handle demand for sales and service.
Anybody that I've ever talked to, whether it's owners or CFOs or general managers, they know my name, and that's something that is significant for me too. It's okay, that takes effort, because I know that I'm not good at that, so I have to put in effort. So I know that they have to do that too. So it's not one single thing, it's a whole environment that's being created by them.
In 1946, Lake Washington School District started offering driver's ed. Eastside Motors provided all the driving training vehicles. In fact, the street to the high school is named after Lee Johnson because of his generosity and commitment to the students of Kirkland.
They say the LJ Way or the community. I think the community for me is both here at work. Definitely feel the family. This is your second family. You're here a lot. You're here more than you are at home. And I work with a lot of great people.
In 1951, Leroy E. helped create the first Little League team in Western Washington. His son Leroy M. was 11 years old. The Johnson family's commitment to community sports resulted in the city of Kirkland naming their main baseball field as Lee Johnson Field.
Truly is a family-owned and operated dealership for me. I started as a lot attendant So I was washing cars. What I like being a part of this organization is kind of a trendsetter going the other way, that hey, we're about a lot more than just selling cars, servicing cars, fixing cars. We give back to the community, and these guys own it. And it's not just lip service, and it's not just cutting a check, right? They participate, whether it's the 4th of July parades, giving back to the community centers down there, you know, for swimming, for theater, whatever the deal is. And that's what I'm most proud of being in this organization, that we do an outstanding job of actually giving back to the community. And
by 1954, they had grown from 7 employees in 1933 to a team of 24.
There's a strong and genuine camaraderie in place here.
In 1963, Leroy M. joined his dad in a team of 27 in the family business.
Dad used to always share this story back when he came into the business. Grandpa gave him an office, and the sign on the outside of the office was owner relations. And he was supposed to be overseeing the vehicle owners, but the big joke was, well, he's related to the owner, so that's why it's owner relations.
Lee was always about taking care of people. Always, you know, the car deal was always second.
And, you know, Dad wasn't a car guy in the true sense of the word. He always used to tell us that it's kind of widgets. It so happens that Grandpa got into the car business, but it's not about cars, it's about people. And if you treat people with respect and treat people right and take care of people, they're going to make sure that you're successful, and they'll be successful right along with you.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
In 1964, with Bellevue growing fast, Eastside Motors needed a larger, easier-to-find location, so they invested in a building, a new 17,000-square-foot store that was built in just 92 days on Route 410, the two-lane highway that ran between Renton and Everett.
It's the only place that actually listened to that little piece of paper and did something about it, so yeah, forever loyal. When I first started, it was a snowy season and, well, getting towards the colder seasons. And I'd ride the bus every day. And Fabian gave me a ride home. So-and-so gave me a ride home. Perry, Randy, everybody heard about it, and they got me a little beater Honda. So they gave me the tools I needed to be successful.
Not long after completing the new store in 1966, Boeing bought land in Everett to build the 747. To accommodate Boeing, the federal and state transportation departments decided to build I-405, which was planned to run right through the brand new facility of Eastside Motors, causing them to have to construct a brand new store just across the freeway.
It's always about doing the right thing. It's you know, from start to finish, whether it's buying the car or turning a bolt in the shop, it's always about doing what's right for the customer. When you've been this long, since 1933 in the Lee Johnson organization, or even University Mazda from 1970, that was always the philosophy. And so that's what I think is, you might be suspicious of it in the beginning because you purchased a car and you purchased cars at other places. But as you go through the ownership of that vehicle and then you go through the service department with that vehicle, then you start to see, gosh, this is the same person. They're still there. They've been there for 7 years, 12 years, 20 years. They've retired from this organization. When you hear that and see that, you know it's the truth.
In 1968, with encouragement from Chevrolet Motors, Eastside Motors changed their name to Lee Johnson Chevrolet.
So I'm really proud to work for Lee Johnson because of the environment that I work in. It's safe, you know, everyone is so friendly, everyone is, especially with COVID when we were all shut down, you know, they're right behind our back, like, you know, you guys don't need to worry about anything, we'll take a good care of you. So it's like an employer who's always behind their employees.
Later in 1968, the Johnsons donated to help build the first pool in downtown Kirkland. That community pool is still in use today.
Everywhere you look around Kirkland, you'll see Lee Johnson. You know, right up here, there's Lee Johnson Drive. There's the Lee Johnson Field down there. Over at Evergreen Hospital, there's Lee Johnson stuff. You know, I like working for an organization that gives back to the community and supports the community. That's a big deal for me. I do it myself in my own life.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In 1971, with the local economy in tatters, Dick Meyer joined the organization as used car manager, eventually becoming a partner in the company.
My biggest thing is just people knowing that it's a good company to come to work for. There's lots of companies out there, there's lots of places right now that are looking for people, but they're not just looking for an employee. I mean, they're looking for someone to bring onto their team and grow.
In 1972, Leroy E. Johnson passed away.
They don't see it as just a dollar sign that, you know, it's just going to be a revolving door. They actually care. I see why this place has so many repeat customers, for sure. And it's because of that. It's taking care of them. You know, we do that first.
In 1988, they added Mazda to their already successful Chevy franchise in Kirkland.
I think overall, the culture here allows you to be honest, transparent, straightforward. I was a little nervous about whether or not I could sell something, but I realize now, and it took me a couple of months before I started figuring it out and started consistently selling 15 to 20 cars every month. And it's just getting along with people. It builds trust.
Astonishing news from East Germany, where the East German authorities have said, in essence, that the Berlin Wall doesn't mean anything anymore.
By 1994, they had grown to a team of 94 employees. 2 years later, in 1996, Todd and Brett Johnson joined their dad in the family business, founded by their grandfather.
And it was just good people, and that's what attracted me to it. And it was also the fact that there were so many different avenues in the car business. I mean, you could sell, you could work on parts, you could do service, you could drive parts, you could do accounting, you know. There's so many different branches that you could kind of focus on and have every day be different.
Dad had never, ever pressured any of his kids to get into the business. I think he was wise enough to understand that that's in many cases where it could go wrong. Is the you know, the older generation kind of expects it, forces it, whatever, and then a kid who doesn't have a passion for the business ends up in the business, which is where it can go wrong. So I never felt pressure to get in the business. He was encouraging me to go chase my dreams, which was great.
50 years after their grandfather began the program, the third generation of Johnsons was still supporting drivers training at Lake Washington High School.
But Brett and Todd, they're as honest as the day is long. They're just like their dad was.
Todd and I are not really car people, as you can tell when we're meeting and stuff. And my dad wasn't necessarily a car person.
I did have a passion not around the cars, but around the family legacy. And that's something that I felt like it would be really cool to be a part of, and that Brett and I could join forces together and kind of run our leg of the race in that family legacy, and just the way Dad had and the way Grandpa started off. We kind of looked at it as a relay race. You know, I wouldn't say that we're always on the same page, but I would say that we both have an enormous respect for each other and their opinions. And so we've always, when we've been not on the same page, it's actually, I think, made us better as an organization, and we've worked through it together. Then in 2002, when he passed, it kind of brought that right to the forefront, and Brett and I had some conversations, and we both kind of felt like it would be empty if we didn't get to do it with the other one. So we complemented each other really well, and then where we overlapped, we got along really well, even if we didn't always agree. And so it's always made sense for us to just do it that way. And I don't think either one of us would have the same passion for the business if the other one wasn't involved.
I started as a lot attendant here, and that was in 10th grade, and just would come here from Monroe High School. I'd drive down here after school every day and work, and did that until I graduated from high school. And it was just, you know, it was really the people, the Kens, the Scotty was here at the time, you know, as a salesperson, and just the business wasn't necessarily the car business that I liked so much. It was just a business that brought really good and cool people together.
In 2000, having grown to 150 employees, they opened Speedway Chevrolet in Monroe, with Ken Whedon becoming a partner and the general manager of Speedway.
So Speedway was really the first time that we were able to grow in our area and then give somebody that had been a long-time employee here an opportunity.
I've never had a job prior to this one where I was excited to come to work to basically like hang out with friends is what it feels like. The ability to hire within, they promote that more than anybody else I've seen or anything. So yeah, I mean, being able to start in one job and actually work your way up is just something that a lot of companies don't have or do, really. Lee Johnson really supports that. They push for that.
I can hear you! I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
In 2002, Leroy M. Johnson passed away. Lee Johnson Drive and Lee Johnson Field are dedicated in his and his father's honor.
I think a lot of the view I have is, I mean, he was just so genuine in everything that he did. And he was so genuine with, it didn't matter who you were, whether you were a kid or somebody that he was walking by on the street. I mean, he would just be kind, you know, and generous with you. And so I think that's why, you know, he had so many people that thought that they were his best friends, you know, and what did people not know about it? I don't know if I can answer that, because he was just so real with everybody. I remember, you know, thinking to myself, the year that, you know, when he passed away, and in 2002 we had the service up here at the high school, and they had more people show up, you know, it filled the lot up at the high school. And I remember thinking, there's probably gonna be maybe 4 people at my service. But he had, and everybody came out to me and they just talked about how, you know, much like a close friend he was to them. And I think that's really what his legacy was. It's not just, you know, a community supporter or a supporter of this district, but everybody that came in contact with him felt like that they were his best friend just because of the way he treated them, you know.
For me, that's the biggest thing is those 2 guys, and it was their dad before then. Their dad was the guy who asked my dad about, you know, when he'd see, you know, that I was playing high school sports, like, you know, how'd Tommy do this weekend? I saw he had a game and they won. How'd he do? And was just a real people person and cared about his employees. Profit was secondary. It was always about taking care of customers. And he was a super nice guy that was as honest as the day is long. And you just would never knew that he was the guy who owned all this stuff. And Brett and Todd are the same way. You know, it's, you know, they're all about taking care of people. And, you know, if you ran into Brett or Todd Johnson on the street, you wouldn't have any idea that they own this big auto group that's become the Lee Johnson Auto family. And they learned that from their dad.
In 2004, Scotty Thompson joined the company as general manager, where he would later become a partner to take over for Dick Meyer when he retired, as well as provide operational leadership with the recent passing of Leroy M. Scotty retired in 2021.
They care about each employee. They want to get to know each employee. They want to help as many people as they can. Since I've been here, we've done a whole bunch of charities for different things during the month. We've had heart disease, breast cancer awareness, ALS month, a whole bunch of things that are just giving back to the people and caring about each employee, because, you know, we've had people with breast cancer. That's why we started breast cancer. We've had people with heart disease, so that's why we started Heart Disease Month here. I have ALS, so I wanted to implement something for that, and they just went with it. They were so happy to do something like that.
In 2006, Kia of Kirkland was acquired and becomes Lee Johnson Kia.
I consider the atmosphere here, the people here, like a second family.
By 2008, they'd grown to a team of 185 employees. The country experienced the largest recession since the Great Depression. Because of a strong commitment to the community, employees, and their customers, the Lee Johnson Auto family was able to push through the hard times.
And everything that happened in 08 just knocked us on our backside. And so that's where the real learning for us began on how we need to make this thing recession-proof, and how we were going to guide this thing going forward, and how important it was to have people that shared our values. But at the same time, during that time period, we had to cut back on all of our giving to the community. And as I look back, of all the hard decisions and all the tough things that we went through, the hardest thing was we weren't connecting with the community anymore. And that was just, that grated on all of us. So we couldn't, we had to cut people's pay, we had to do all this stuff. And so the first thing was we had to get everybody's pay back up to where it was before. That was priority number one. After that, it was, okay, now we can start giving to the Boys and Girls Club. We can start giving to the school's foundation again. And that's when we were able to accomplish all of that, that's when we started to feel like, okay, this is fun again. Because some people are in business just to make money, which is fine. That's ultimately why anybody would go into business, is you want to make money and support your family. And if you're successful enough and can help others support their family and make more money, then, that's America. But for us, if a component of that isn't also using the money and the name to be able to give back to the community in ways that are meaningful, then what's the point? So once we were, it wasn't until it was taken away for a while that I really understood how important it was for us to be able to continue doing it as we move forward.
For one, we work for good people. That my wife works at Evergreen Hospital, and they just donated a whole bunch of money to build an ICU wing over there, and they're good, honest people that have a good reputation, which in our business is really not usually the case.
So we choose to work here, having the ability to probably work anywhere we would choose to, because of the people, because of the company, the ownership, the attitude, and their care and concern for both our customers and their employees.
You're just not a number here.
Sometimes it's hard to run a really successful dealership and not expect your 100%, 100% of your attention, and basically tell your family you're taking a back seat. And that's not us. We believe in family. We don't call ourselves the auto family just because it sounds good on a commercial. We want people to make a good living, but know that they have an opportunity to spend time with their family. And that's, I think that's one of the things that makes us different in this business.
In 2013, Speedway RV in Monroe and Auto Right Motors in Bothell are opened.
With us, especially here, you're not just buying a car, you're buying the car and the team to help you till you want the new one. The reason that I've stayed so long is the people around me, because everybody helps each other out, works together to be able to get things done.
I mean, we're a real cohesive group, and the senior members have been here, for a while, and we've worked together, and you kind of, you feel, comfortable, like a family, I guess is what it would be.
In 2017, Hyundai of Everett is acquired and becomes Lee Johnson Hyundai of Everett.
For the type of owners that expect and only allow you to tell the truth. Just honesty. We always do the right things. It's the right thing to do. And take care of the customer. And you always have the ability to make that own decision for yourself, regardless of what position you're in, to take care of the customer. Everyone who works in this place is going to go home and sleep good at night based on what they did.
My focus is on fixing a vehicle right and fixing it right the first time.
In 2018, they opened Auto Right Lake Stevens.
All of my peers here have just wanted nothing but success, not only for me, but for one another.
Wanting to see people succeed, to be loyal to people who are loyal to you, and be able to celebrate with them is just a part of who we are, and it's because of Dad.
In 2019, Nissan of Kirkland is acquired and becomes Lee Johnson Nissan, adding a new brand to the Lee Johnson family.
If something happens, we do everything we can within our power to take care of that customer after, and it's, I can tell that it's a long-term thought process, that when they say Lee Johnson Auto Family, that they're really trying to do what is necessary to actually act on that and not just say it. So they take care of people, they want them to come back. There's a culture of, and it's not even always just spoken, it's just something that even when someone new comes in, they know, say hi to the customer, talk to them, welcome back, can I get you a water? Just that point of service that is a little bit more above and beyond what I've seen at other places.
In 2020, to continue to grow and to support multiple locations, the company Leroy E. Johnson founded in 1933 expanded to include 8 non-family partners. In addition to the partners already introduced, joining over the years were Robert J., Brett Baker, Tom Murdoch, Randy Jorgensen, Justin Meek, Tyson Thompson, and Rick Whedon.
What makes it unique and what makes it a car store is all of our people that want to be here, and they're the ones that are really, hitting the pavement every day and representing our family. And there's no way that we would even have dreamed that would be here today without all the people, without the executive team, without the managers, without the employees, the technicians, the salespeople, the lot attendants, the office. They're the ones that see the customers every day. The people are the ones that are really making it happen, and that is, deserves our eternal gratitude. And we need to give back to them so that they can, be proud to be here and be proud to, be able to call Lee Johnson their home.
In 2021, having grown to 365 employees, University Mazda is acquired and becomes Lee Johnson Mazda of Seattle.
I'm really proud of it because of not just the fact that we were able to acquire stores, but of the, the way that we've incorporated those stores and the people at those stores into our way of looking at the business and our way of doing things. And it's a way that I feel that we can be proud of.
We've got a great plan in place with people that are going to make sure that they share our values and they share our desire to keep the Lee Johnson name, because that's the most important thing that we have. It's not the cars that we sell. It's not our locations. It's our reputation. So to me, what it means is we take care of our people, and we take care of our community, and we take care of our reputation.
I have a shirt on right now that says Lee Johnson under here, and I have a coat that says Lee Johnson. That's more important to me, and I wear that with more pride than any particular brand that I work, that I sell.
If everybody in your organization knows that whatever it is that you do with the customer today, if it ends up on the front page of the paper the next day, are you going to be happy with how it reads? If that's how you treat every customer, then you're going to win.
So I travel an hour and a half from home, knowing the fact that the place I'm going to be going to, I also call home.
Lee Johnson